everyone, I'm Laura, and today we are going to give you an introduction of the immigrants who came to America during the late 19th and the early 20th century. Um, when it when it comes to the immigrants, it's important to know what happened to them when they arrived in the United States. And this is our group members. Yeah? And so what do you know about Ellis Island? Ellis Island is in New York City's harbor, and it was once the port of entry for thousands of immigrants to the United States. Between 1820 and 1900, thousands of people from all over the world arrived at Ellis Island. Many of them came for freedom. In other words, back in their home country, the authorities didn't allow them to practice their own religion, or they don't have political freedom in their homelands. So you can say that they come to America to start a new life, and very few of them wanted to return to their home country. And here are some examples of the immigrants who came to the U.S. during that time. Let's see, and you'll find something really interesting.
Okay, so hello everyone, my name is Judy, and I'm going to tell you a story about a little girl, Annie. You might wonder that why Annie is so important. And she's important because she was the first immigrant who arrived on Ellis Island. And about December 1891, Annie and her young brothers got on the boat which was sailing to New York. They were going to join their parents who had moved to USA in advance. And about January 1892, they arrived at the harbor of Ellis Island, with the Statue of Liberty welcoming them. It was the opening day of Ellis Island. As soon as Annie got off the ship, she got 10 US dollars from the mayor for being the first immigrant. You might think that 10 US dollars isn't much. It's only about $380. But for a little girl who was only 15 years old, it was a large amount of money, especially for who had given up everything and moved to a new country. And after arriving at Ellis Island, Annie and her family moved toward to west, and eventually they reached Texas and formed their family there. A few years later, Annie married an Irish, and she had 2 children. But unfortunately, at the age of 46, Annie died in a car accident, I was very sad because she was so young and she just died because of a car accident. And nowadays, we can still see the statue of Annie standing on the Ellis Island. Okay, so I think she's finally had a statue that maybe she will be satisfied. Okay, so I'll give the microphone to Benjamin.
Second, I would like to introduce a family who immigrated to America. It's Everty Marcello family, who arrived at Ellis Island May 1899. The woman called Faustina Alberti, who brings 2 children to join her husband, Raffaello Marcello, who had been to America earlier than. The family is from Rovina, which is near Venice in Italy. The family still lives in Brooklyn now. The reason why they immigrate is because that they want to find a better life and also a better job. You may feel curious what had his children do for a living. One of their children, Vincent, became a candy maker in a factory, and their daughter, Albana, who is a dressmaker. That may sound a little ordinary, but they had a better life in America.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce you one of the famous immigrants in the world, that is Anston. Because of being a long-time pacifist and a Jew, Anston became the target of hostility in Weimar Germany, where many citizens were suffering great decreasing economic fortunes in the aftermath of defeat in the Great War. In December 1932, a month before Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, Einstein made a decision to immigrate to the United States, where, where he took a position at the newly founded Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. And finally, he arrived at Ellis Island on March 23, 1921. As an immigrant, Einstein continued his quest for a unified field theory, though he published an article on the theory in Scientific American in 1950. It remained unfinished when he died 5 years later. In the decades following his death, Einstein's reputation and stature in the world of physics only grew. Okay, this picture is those immigrants who immigrated to the United States. After they went down the ship to Ellis Island, there is a physicians examining immigrants for disease because they want to check whether you bring the disease or not. And here is our reference. Do you guys know more about immigrant after our introduction? We got a conclusion that most of them got a new life as workmen and producers in the society. They immigrated to the United States because of various reasons, including seeking a new life or escaping from their hometown. They almost immigrated to the United States at the end of the 18th century and 19th century. Einstein, since he was too different from others, so because he invented atom bombs, so his name was left in everyone's mind. Okay, thank you for your listening.